Growing up, I always had this belief that when things go well, it will never go on for too long. Something must go south. And as I grow older, I'm now 19 and I run two successful online businesses. I'm making way too much money for my age and I'm living in Bali, in Indonesia. I'm realizing it was purely a mental limitation. And to give you a bit of context, I was born in Ireland in a hometown. I'm Irish Moldovan, my parents are Moldovan. And yeah, I'm not sure if I said, but I'm 19. I have two brothers and they haven't really enjoyed online money. One of them's older, one of them's younger. We grew up very differently. We grew up like in the same sense, but we grew up having different beliefs. And the reason for that is a lot of exposure, to be honest. I have put myself in positions to grow. I've been around very successful people and I forced myself to just work hard and work smart and grow and endure these things. But I want to talk about something today that I think a lot of people may benefit from if they listen to this message. When things go bad, it doesn't particularly mean things need to start going, or when things go good, it doesn't particularly mean things need to start going bad. And to give you an example, I was stagnant with my business for a couple months. We were doing about 30 a month and we pushed really hard and we got to about 40 in 1 month. And this was over the span of 4 or 5 months. Right after I broke that limitation, what ended up happening was we did around 60, 63, and now we're projecting to do over 100. And it was purely environment, to be honest. It was that I forced myself to grow through obviously breaking mental limitations, being around people and understanding purpose. So there are many subjective reasons and variables as to why I'm growing and why the business started to do well. But a big thing was just my internal causes, my internal beliefs. And one of those internal beliefs I'm putting a lot of emphasis on for you is when things go good, things must start to go bad. They shouldn't. They don't need to. Because you are pre-assuming that when you get momentum, you're going to mess it up. And I got momentum, and last month we obviously did as well as we did. And this month we're going to do better. We've already surpassed that previous goal, technically. And that is purely because I realized that I can have momentum and I can turn my new momentum into a baseline. I'm trying to come up with more references and more examples. Okay, I'll talk about fitness. Growing up, I was always in horrible shape. My parents have horrible eating habits. Horrible eating habits. My older brother is obese. My little brother is arguably obese. My mom has diabetes. And they don't really know how to eat clean. They're not educated on clean eating. Their habits are a direct representation of so. I grew up eating a lot of like frozen pizzas and all that stuff and chicken nuggets and, you know, the typical fat boy diet. But I'm in a lot better shape now. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm progressing and I'm growing. And a lot of that was exposure and understanding that I can break through these things. When I was younger, I was with my brother and I weighed myself at the airport. I must have been 12. And I was like, geez, I already weigh X amount of weight. I must have been like 60 kg. I was small. And I was like, well, if I just only gain X amount of weight per year, and then I did the math and I was like, I'm going to be 120 kg by the time I'm 18. And that was me trying to minimize the fat gain because I couldn't think, I couldn't comprehend maximizing fat loss or losing fat. It was just, how cooked am I? That was my mentality growing up. How cooked am I? How cooked will the fat loss be? Or the fat gain be? It was so chopped. And that was because of my environment. That was because of my beliefs. And that was because of the people I put myself around. I'm not saying cut off your day ones. I'm still friends with my day ones. But as Vin Quang says, someone I'm studying is a communication expert, he says you need to have your top 5 for business, your professional top 5 friends, and your personal top 5 friends. It doesn't mean kill off everybody who is not helping you do meditation. No, I'm talking about people that are truly your friends. They should stay your friends, but you should have people that influence you to want to do better. And a lot of people don't have that. But a lot of it just goes back down to the root cause. When you have momentum, you can turn it into a baseline. And that is purely habits. It's habitual. We believe as people that momentum, first of all, momentum is purely mental. It's a facade. It doesn't actually exist. When you buy a coaching company or you buy a course or a mentorship, for example, the easiest example of my mind is you buy a course and you get so excited and you feel like you're going to change your life and you work hard. You work hard for the first while. And because you have that excitement, you work harder than you usually do and you see a better result than you usually do. And because you saw the better result, you said, oh yeah, that's momentum. Brother, it is not momentum. It is the fact that you're just doing more. But it's, what's the saying for, I'm tweaking right now. Pattern recognition. You see, okay, well, things have been progressing, I'm making more money, I'm doing this, so my habits are better. Yeah, because you just did what you had to do. You know what you have to do to get to where you want to go. But you just didn't do it. And here's the thing. I've been growing so much since I've been in Asia, and I've been exposed to people that are doing quite well, people that are healthy. I've lost a lot of weight in the past year. I've made a lot more money in the past year than I ever have. When I go home, I was talking to my friend about this yesterday when we were collecting another friend from the airport. He said, will your parents recognize you? And I said, yeah, of course. The only thing I've lost is my hairline and my hair. But yeah, like I've been home first of all. But will my parents recognize me because of the amount of growth I've endured? Of course. Because majority of the growth you endure is internal. And I'm going to give you a little bit of sauce here. My personal why, first of all, everybody should have a why. For business, for things you do, for things of importance, you need to know why you're doing it. I have one for fitness because I grew up as the fat kid and it wasn't as easy as, oh, eat clean and go to the gym. No, I couldn't do that. I had to internalize the pain. I had to internalize the cause. Why do I care? And I broke it down to say, I want to be a support beam. And I love psychology, for example. So I said, well, I need to have a why. I need to be a support beam for my wife and kids in the future when I'm older. And they're not going to be able to do that to me. They're not going to be able to subconsciously respect me if I'm not in good shape. From a psychological standpoint, you are more incentivized to go to the person that has their external aspects of life more in control than their internal. Weight, health. And I didn't have that. And that was my fault. So I said, okay, well, I figured out my why. And I said, okay. And I'll go from here. And now I'm in a lot better shape because I understand why I'm pushing. I understand why I'm dieting. I understand why I track every single piece of food in MyFitnessPal. Is it a bit of an extremity? Sure. Point being, the reason you are where you are is because of your standards. You can develop momentum and turn that into your normality. You just need to know why. And you just need to believe you can. Most of this is internal. Hopefully that was helpful. I've got some calls to do now. I'm in between. I ordered food which came during this, so I'm a little thrown off, but the game is the game.